Happy New Year! I hope that you had a great Christmas celebration and are enjoying this first day of 2014. Welcome to another edition of Dig Into God's Word, where we look ahead to the upcoming week's readings from the lectionary. As you can see, I'm not at Faith this week, but I'm coming to you today from Peace Lutheran Church in Great Falls, Montana, where I'm spending this week after Christmas visiting my family. In our readings this week, we see a lot of light shining to reveal things. We like light because darkness can be scary. The light is often comfortable and safe. This week we celebrate Epiphany and we remember the Magi following the light of the star to visit Jesus and his parents. Epiphany means to appear and commemorates God becoming men and being manifest in the flesh and revealed to the Gentiles, those Magi who had come to visit him. This week, the Old Testament reading is from Isaiah chapter 60. And in this reading, the prophet Isaiah speaks of the darkness that covers the earth. The darkness is broken by the glory of the Lord when he comes to the midst of his people. This light draws the nations to himself. It's like if you were out in the pitch black darkness and you saw a light off in the distance, you'd be drawn to go to it. So Isaiah says that the nations will be drawn to the glory of the Lord. It's interesting to note in verse 6 that we hear that when these people come, they'll bring gifts of gold and frankincense, possibly foreshadowing those visitors that we'll hear about in the gospel reading today. Our epistle reading comes from Ephesians chapter 3. Paul is writing from prison and he talks about the mystery of his message that's now been made known. What's this mystery that he talks about? Well, in verse 6, he reveals that the Gentiles are fellow heirs of the promise of salvation through Christ. It isn't an exclusive club for his fellow Israelites, but rather salvation is for all people. Verse 9, we see a reference to light where Paul is talking about bringing the good news to light for all people. Finally, our gospel reading is from Matthew chapter 2. It's the familiar narrative of the Magi visiting Jesus and his parents in Bethlehem. Often we place our Magi in the same manger scene with the shepherds, immediately following Jesus' birth. However, it's clear that they arrived at a future time. When? We're not sure. But like we heard last week, Herod killed all young boys 2 years and younger in an attempt to get rid of Jesus. So we can say it was within the first 2 years. Another interesting thing to note is that while we often refer to them as kings, the word Magi is more appropriate, as they weren't kings, but magicians or sorcerers. And they weren't necessarily wise either, and are just as unexpected as guests as the shepherds were. This further demonstrates God's method of working in ways that are unexpected to us. The first revelation of Jesus coming into the world to bring light and life doesn't come to the kings or the rich and powerful, but it comes to the poor and lowly and foreigners. God's ways are not our ways, and when his light came into the world, the darkness could not overcome it. His salvation is for you and for me. What a spectacular gift. Blessings on your study of God's Word this week, and I hope that you have a blessed New Year's celebration as well.